So what is Agile? So Agile methodology is very famous nowadays. Almost 90% of the companies are following this Agile methodology. Agile methodology is, so it is a continuous iteration of development and testing throughout the project development. Both development and testing activities are concurrent, unlike waterfall model. So it's not same as a waterfall. Waterfall is sequential, right? And one after the other. But here, it's not like that. So it's going to be parallel. That's the Agile methodology. So what is the Scrum in this Agile methodology? So Scrum is an Agile development methodology which concentrate particularly on how to manage tasks within a team-based development environment. So both development and testing consider as one team only. No separate development, no separate testing team. Both are same as a one Scrum team. That's it. Basically, Scrum is derived from rugby match. Scrum believes in empowering the development team and advocates working in small teams. They say two people or three people, three developers, one tester, or five developers, two testers. Basically, it will be a ratio like that only. It consists of three roles, basically, in the Scrum methodology. You can understand this if you see this diagram. See that product owner, PO we call him, product owner, Scrum team, Scrum master. These are the three main roles will be there in the Agile Scrum methodology. And product owner, what he will do is he will get all the requirements from this inputs from executives, team, stakeholders, customers, and different users, and he will get all the inputs, and he will prepare a user stories or epics. He will prepare them. Once he prepare epics or user stories, they will put in the product backlog. The product backlog is a repository where you can find all the user stories. User story is nothing but a small requirement, small feature, small module related requirements. That's the one user story. And epic means a big requirement. So one epic may contain more than one user story, more than one modules. So you can make it that epic to 3-4 user stories. And that's how epic means. Epic is a big functionality, big requirement. So all this you can find here. And so he will rank which one is going to be implemented first in the sprint wise. And that's the product backlog means. What is the product owner responsibility? He will take the inputs from customers and executives and stakeholders and prepare a product backlog. That's a product owner responsibility. So basically is a customer wise. Basically customer requirements you will gather. So that's the product owner responsibility. And then Scrum Master. Scrum Master, what he will do, he will set up the team, he will conduct daily Scrum meetings, stand-up meetings or Scrum meetings, daily Scrum meetings. These are daily Scrum meetings. And if any obstacles are there, he will try to provide a solution for the team members. Make sure you're progressing your tasks. That's a Scrum Master responsibility. Scrum team, and they will take, what is the Scrum team? Both development and testing is called Scrum team, not only development team. So both will be available in the meetings and everywhere. And their responsibility is whatever the task assigned to them, they have to finish within the specified period of time. Within specified period of time, they have to finish it. That's a Scrum team responsibility. So you know developer responsibilities and tester responsibilities, right? So developer will prepare the design, so flows and functional flows, then writing the code and unit testing, deploying, all their responsibilities. And tester responsibilities, once you get a user stories, and then we'll assign that user stories to particular sprint, right? So that is decided. So particular sprint, which user story you are going to target. Team selects the starting at the top as much as it can commit to deliver by end of sprint. So team will select. So and they'll take first, they'll pull all the user stories to sprint. Then sprint plan meeting will happen. First, before starting the project, before starting the sprint, first sprint plan meeting will happen. Sprint plan meeting means what will be decided, what will be discussed here, what are the user stories you are going to work for this current sprint. Sprint is nothing but a time bound. 2 weeks time bound is called one sprint. And all the requirements will be divided into equally, and based on that the number of sprints will be calculated. Each sprint, how many user stories are finished by development team, based on that it will keep moving the sprint number of sprints. But first sprint plan meeting will happen. Once you decide the user stories and then all are done, then in the sprint plan meeting what will happen? First sprint, starting before first day, sprint plan meeting will happen, and they will pull the user stories, and so then user stories assignment, the estimations, estimating the story points, how many days you need to complete this user story. Both development and testing you have to consider. Developer will give his so estimations, and as a tester you need to provide your estimation, how many days you need to finish this task, this user story. You have to tell that clearly. So make all your task we created, right? So test case design, review test cases, and then smoke testing, execution of testing, execution of test cases, then defect reporting and retesting and regression testing. All these are you have to consider. How many days you need, based on that you give. That's the estimations will be done, and each user story, each estimations will be given in the sprint plan meeting. Who all will be there? The team and Scrum Master and all the team members will be there. That's the sprint planning meeting. And then sprint backlog. Sprint backlog means once you started working, and then so which are under task breakout, they will break out, right? So this task, so we break it out, right? Each user story we move to different tasks we created. So all those tasks so comes under sprint backlog, and those will be started working. So before sprint end date, before sprint end days, and you will do every day stand-up meetings or daily scrum meetings. Daily scrum meetings or stand-up meetings will be there. What you will discuss in this daily scrum meetings, and last 24 hours what you have done, and next, so today what you are going to do. If there are any blockers, they will discuss in the meeting. If just 15 to 20 minutes, that's it maximum. You should not spend more time on the meetings. Or that's the scrum meeting, daily scrum calls, you can see. Daily scrum calls will happen, and you will give your update. Everybody has to give their own update. what is happening, all those things. So that's our daily Scrum meetings. And once daily Scrum meetings happen, that means you are progressing, right? So every day you are progressing and you are working on the particular task assigned to you. So you create a task and you can start working on each task. Then you can put in progress and in testing and like that. You can move. So that the status will change. Status will change. Okay. Now, so what you will do as a tester? So that's very clearly given here. You can see that. Scrum Master, I have told you, and Product Owner, I have told you. Scrum Team, so they will perform the task. Product Backlog is just a repository and where all the requirements will be tracked. So first in the Scrum methodology, what is the testing process? First, once you get the Scrum user stories and you will read and understand the user story requirements, then you will design the test cases. You will design the test cases. Once the test cases are designed, and you will ask for review of those test cases and review of those test cases. Once review is done, and that's a final draft. Okay, so then you will get a build. Then you will execute test cases. One by one, you will execute the test cases, and if any defect found, you will report the defects, and developer will you will discuss in the meetings, everyday meetings. So these are the defects I found, and they will keep on asking you, can you sign up the build? Can you sign up this feature, this user story? Don't be hurry, but make sure. So still we need one more time, one more day, and I'm working on that. Still testing is going on, and you can tell that. But don't be hurry. But make sure you are validating each and everything. So that's important. And once test case execution is done, then you reported many bugs, and then developer will fix them. Then he will deploy that fixed code in the environment, and he will give a build. Once they give a build, you can work on that. You can work on that retesting of those bugs. So all the fixed bugs you will retest, and after that you have to perform a regression testing. So regression testing is you are going to ensure all the existing functionality should work as expected and should not break existing functionality, should not introduce new bugs. That's the testing. So process in the Agile methodology. And it's your responsibility in the 15 days time, you have to finish all these things, and sometime you have to do automation also, because these are shorter deadlines, right? So 15 days, every 15 days a new feature is going to finish, and you have to test manually, and then you have to write automation test case also, and make sure you are performing automation testing and finish that. Otherwise next sprint it will spill over. If they took a lot of time, development team took a lot of time, but they are not able to give it as early as possible, then it's going to be a burden for us. Then next sprint you have to automate those scenarios. Okay, so that's this automation process. And then every day test case will run. If any test case fails, you have to see why it is failing and what is the reason for that, and we need to debug them. So debug means finding the root cause for the failure of test case. And after that you can file a bug if it is a developer issue and the problem in the code. You can file a bug and assign to developer. If it is not a code issue, your test case issue means you have to modify your test case and fix the test case. So that's the process. And then finally you will finish and you will give a sign off. You can tell, okay, all the test cases are executed, regression is done, automation also done. Then you can say good to go. you can say we can deploy. So that's the complete process. And so I told already sprint, so daily scrum calls. So scrum calls are daily stand-up meetings or daily scrum meetings, we call them. So what you will discuss in the daily scrum meetings, what you have done yesterday, what you are going to do today, if any blockers are there, these are the points you will discuss. Basically, you have to give a status. So what is the current status? That's the scrum meeting what we are going to discuss. And after that, everybody will disperse and they will start working on their task. And then sprint review meetings will happen. Sprint review meeting is basically once you finish the work, they will review, okay, what are the tasks pending, what are the stories pending, and all are finished or not. That will be review. Once that is done, and final day, you will give a demo to product owner or to the customers. Basically, you will give a demo to customer or product owner. Okay, and
so the product owner is the client, sir.
Yeah, product owner is the one who prepares the requirements.
Okay.
And then product owner and customers also sometimes they will participate in the demos.
So customers are users. Yes.
Users, exactly. Who is going to use that application? Product owner is somebody who is like a business analyst. Okay.
Okay.
You can say more than business analyst. Is having a fair idea of the product.
Okay.
That's our product owner. And after demo, there is a retrospection. Sprint retrospection meeting will happen. Sprint retrospection meeting will happen. So in the last day, you will discuss. You will have a sprint retrospection meeting. So what is this retrospection meeting? So what you will discuss? So the Scrum Master will ask each and every person in the team what went well, what went wrong, what improvements you need, and so what could be done better for the what would you have done better, and how we can improve the process, and next sprint we can do much better. All these points will be discussed in this retrospection. Okay, that's a retrospection meeting means. Okay, so that's a complete Agile process. So what are all the roles in this Agile methodology? Who will be there in this Agile process?
Product owner, Scrum team, Scrum Master.
Scrum Master. So what is the product owner responsibility?
He gather the information requirements from the client.
Okay, and prepares epics and user stories.
Yeah, epics and user stories.
And he places all the user stories in the product backlog. Product backlog is nothing but a repository. And he will rank, and product owner will rank them, which one needs to be started first, which one needs to be implemented first. The features and stories will be find out that a product owner. And sprint plan meeting, when it will happen? Before starting the sprint, and first day, once we decided the sprint. So once we created the sprint, what we did in the Jira, we assigned the user stories, right?
Yes.
For that sprint. And after the sprint, you assign the user stories, then sprint plan meeting will happen. In the sprint plan meeting, what will be decided here? Okay, development and testing team, how many days you need, estimations will be given here. And the assignment, okay, this user story is going to work by whom? Which developer, which tester, what task, all will be assigned to the particular developer and tester. That's what is sprint plan meeting. Then, so every day Scrum meetings will happen. So the Scrum Master will conduct the Scrum meetings, and we are going to discuss what you have done last 24 hours, what is going to be done next 24 hours. And if any blockers are there, we are going to discuss, and you will get a solution from the team members. And that's the daily Scrum meetings will be there. Just a 15 to 20 minutes or half an hour max, not more than that. So that's this Scrum meetings, daily Scrum meetings. Then sprint reviews, and at the end of the sprint, you will review the sprint, how it went, so how all the user stories are finished, and that will be sprint review meeting. And then you will give a demo. Demo is given by QA team or development team. So final demo. So we are going to give for the product owner or to the customers by the QA team or development team. Whoever worked on that area, so they will give a demo. So whoever worked on the user stories, they will give a demo. That's a final day of your sprint. So 15th day, you will give a demo. Then retrospection meeting will happen, sprint retrospection. And then we'll think, okay, what went well, what went wrong, what are the improvement areas, so where we need to improve, and how it could be done well. So all these points will be discussed, and the next sprint they will plan it properly. They'll try to improve that. So this Agile methodology means. And a testing process, test case designing, review of test cases, and test case execution. Once you get a build, we'll start executing the test cases, then reporting the defects, and
Yeah, retesting, then regression
retesting,
testing,
regression testing, all these things we are going to take that. That's this is the complete thing, and that's the process. What is sprint burn down charts? Sprint burn down chart. So what is meant by sprint burn down chart? You can see here also. Can you see here in our diagram, sprint burn down chart? Can you see burn down chart? Burn down or burn up charts. So the Scrum Master, what he will do, and okay, total how much time is the actual time for the completion of this task in this sprint, and every day how much time worked on those tasks, he will be to mark that number of hours here, and that number of hours will be mentioned here in this sprint burn down charts. And then how many extra hours he is taking, they will calculate based on this sprint burn down chart based. Okay, so that's the sprint burn down chart means. So each day Scrum Master records the estimated remaining work for the sprint. So today how many hours work, what is the remaining work, remaining time, so that will be recorded by Scrum Master in the Jira tool itself. You have option in the Jira tool. This is nothing but burn down chart week. What is, if anybody asks what is burn down chart? So each day Scrum Master will record the estimated remaining time for the current sprint. How much time left? How much time worked? So this will be recorded. So this is nothing but a burn down chart. Okay. Any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So the next one is the process flow. Each iteration of a Scrum is called a sprint. So what is a sprint? Each iteration of a Scrum is called sprint. What is a product backlog? Product backlog is a repository where you can find all the user stories, the requirements or new features. So those are the product backlog. Okay. And during each sprint, top items of the product backlog are selected and turned into sprint backlog. So there is a sprint backlog, right? So this one. So which are you are working currently in the current sprint? So those will be considered as a sprint backlog. What is the sprint planning meeting? What will be discussed here? Estimations will be given and assignments will happen. So please remember all these points so that you can easily answer and you can tell, you can narrate easily if you remember that diagram. And what are the benefits of Agile methodology? Agile testing involves testing as early as possible in software development lifecycle. demands high customer involvement and testing code as soon as it becomes available. The code should be stable enough to take it to the system testing. Extensive regression testing can be done to make sure that feature is working correctly. And customer satisfaction by rapid delivery of useful software. Welcome changing requirements even late in the development also. And working software is delivered frequently rather than months. Working software is the principal measure of progress. Sustainable development, able to maintain a constant pace. Close and daily cooperation between developers and business analysts, and face-to-face communication is the best one, but that's okay. Even Zoom meetings are those things also you can do. And teams, now very famous teams, right? Teams also. So projects are built around motivated individuals who should be trusted, continuous attention to technical excellence and good design, and self-organizing teams, so regular adaptation to changing circumstances. If any changes are happening, you have to keep molding. So mold yourself based on the requirements, based on the changes. So that's this regular adaptation to the changing requirements. Are we clear about Agile methodology, Agile Scrum methodology? Can you explain Agile Scrum methodology,
Yes, sir. Understood.
Shanti?
Yes, sir. So first, the product owner takes all the inputs from all the stakeholders and users, and then the product owner is the business analyst.
Yeah, kind of. Both are different. And the business analyst will be different. Product owner will be different.
Oh, okay, okay,
Product owner is who is having very high knowledge on the product.
okay, okay.
It
So
depends on the
yeah,
company.
okay. Then the whatever whatever requirements whatever is required, that requirement document will be given, and then there will be a sprint planning meeting
Hmm.
which involves a whole team, uh, and then in the sprint planning teaming they sprint planning meeting, they'll estimate all the user stories, whatever is necessary for the project, and
No,
then
estimations, only estimations and assignment will happen.
okay, okay. And every day they'll have a scrum meeting, which is like about 15 minutes, and they'll discuss like what they have to do and what they did
Hmm.
on that day.
Hmm.
And they'll plan the sprints. And every sprint, once they like, every sprint is about 2 weeks, and generally, and in those 2 weeks, whatever issues have to be addressed, they'll decide about that, and then they'll work on that. And if there are any backlogs or if there are any problems they need to improve in the sprint, they'll improve all those activities in the next sprint.
Okay. That's a
And
retrospection meeting. That's a these
retrospection.
keywords are important. You have to use those keywords.
Okay, okay.
Retrospection meeting.
Retrospection meeting. Well, yes, sir. Just now I heard, so maybe I have to
Yeah, yeah.
read it more to remember
And
this.
at
And
the
in
end, we will give a demo.
sprint planning meeting itself, they'll estimate how many sprints they'll have and all, right?
No, no, no. How many days you need for the current sprint, the user story, each user story,
Okay,
how many days you need to develop and finish the testing. That's an
okay,
estimation for each user story. They will discuss in the sprint plan meeting. Okay, so that's estimations will be given in the sprint plan. Okay, next.
Yeah.
And the same Agile velocity. What is Agile velocity? Agile velocity is a metric that predicts how much work an Agile software development team can successfully complete within a 2-week sprint. So within a 2-week sprint, how many user stories you have finished successfully? That is the Agile velocity. So velocity is a metric. Agile velocity is a metric that predicts how much work an Agile software development team can successfully finish in a 2-week period, in a 2-week sprint period. And then Agile velocity is very useful for planning for the next sprint, right? How much capacity this team is having and how many they have finished. Based on that, they will assign more user stories, right? So that's the complete thing how we can do that. And again, so based on this Agile velocity, the managers and Scrum Master will take a decision how long it will take to complete the project. So the metric is calculated by reviewing work. So the team successfully completed during previous sprints and all those things. And for example, if the team completed 10 user stories during a 2-week sprint, each story has a 3 story points. Every story has a story points, right? Every story has a story points. Every story has a story point, right? Every story has a story points. Okay. In that current sprint, how many stories you have finished, and what is each story point? For example, each story has a 3 points, 3 story points. Then what is the total Agile velocity? 30 story points per sprint. 30 story points is the one. And that's the story point mean. So story points is the estimation. So basically we'll give a story points wise number of days you need to complete that work. That's a story points. It's an arbitrary measure how many days you need to complete this user story. That's a story points wise we are going to give one. So simple user story means a simple task means you'll give 1 or 2, 3, 5, 8. This is the Fibonacci series. Basically, we'll follow Fibonacci series, and that's the story points how we are going to give. So, are you clear about those Agile velocity?
So, based on the user story, we'll say how many days it will take or how many hours, and they'll decide it.
That
Or
you will
how
give in the sprint plan meeting, right? Sprint plan meeting for every user story. How many days you need, you are going to give there.
yeah. So according to
But
that, they'll say how many. Okay.
how many you have finished in particular sprint?
Okay.
How many user stories you have finished? Suppose I have given first sprint 2 user stories, right? Register and login. Did we finish
Okay.
successfully all those 2 user stories without anything pending, including development and testing? Everything is done perfectly and released. You given a sign up.
Based on that, we'll decide the velocity, how many we are able to do.
Yeah, after
Exactly.
creating down stories.
So based on that, suppose requirement registration is taking 5 story points. Login is taking 3 story points. Now, how much is the Agile velocity?
Eight.
Total 2 into 8. 16 is the story points.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So 3 and 5, 8. 8 into 2, 16 story points. 2 multiplied by the number of story points.
Yeah.
That will give you a Agile velocity. This is just a metric for the managers to decide, okay, how long this project will finish, how many sprints we need to plan. Based on that, they will plan. So this is the delta x by delta t. Agile velocity equal to number of total story points by 1 iteration. So that's Agile velocity. Okay. So what is a story point? A story point is a arbitrary measure used by Scrum teams. This is to measure the effort required to implement a story. So it is a measure the effort required to implement a user story. In simple terms, it's a number that tells the team how hard the story is. how complex this story is, how medium, how easy this story is. That's what this story point will tell. And hard could be related to complexity. So unknowns and effort. So in cases story point range is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 or x small. This is the way you can give, or x small, small, medium, large, extra large you can give. Like this also you can give. Or you can give a Fibonacci sequence like this. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 45. So how can I say what is a Fibonacci series? Previous two numbers sum is your next number. Can you see this? These two numbers sum is your next number or not? Third number. Sum of these two numbers is your next number. Then these two numbers sum is this one. Then these two numbers sum is this one. Then these two numbers is this one. And these two numbers sum is this one. That means previous two numbers sum is your next number. That is called Fibonacci series. What is Fibonacci series?
Previous two number adding.
Addition of previous one.
Previous two numbers sum. You can say
Sum
sum.
of some.
Sum of the previous two numbers is your next number. Okay, so that's a story points means. That's a story point, and these are important, right? See that you can give what are the different ways to size stories. So why do we do story points, not hours? We can do hours also now, right? We need hours also, right? Basically, we'll give X small, small, medium, large, or extra large. Or you can give 1, 2, 3 like this. So small story for how many days? 1 to 3 days. Medium 3 to 5 days. Large 5 to 7 days. Extra large greater than 10 days is there. You can give extra large. So how can you give a small, medium, large? This is the way how can you mention, because small story is there. You can give between 1 to 3 days. Medium is 3 to 5 days. Large means 5 to 7 days you can give. If it is a extra large means give more than 10 days. So that's this all Agile methodology and these points. Any queries?